Hey, welcome everybody. We have a workshop this afternoon. We're looking at the 2025 water rate study that's prepared by Communities Unlimited. There's information in your council packet about that. And then updates to the 2025-2026 utility fee schedule and utility rates. All right, city manager, go ahead and start us off, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is the 2025 water rate study update prepared by Communities Unlimited. This item is a workshop to review the 2025 water rate study updated by Communities Unlimited. It's the original comprehensive water rate study was completed in 2023. And in late 2025, the city requested an updated analysis to reflect current financial conditions, customer growth, usage trends, and system demands. This update was completed at no cost to the city with support from USDA Rural Development. The study shows significant customer growth since 2022 with more than 600 new water connections and corresponding increases in base rate revenue. However, it also indicates that operating expenses are projected to outpace revenues due to inflation, system maintenance needs, and administrative costs. The study highlights the need for ongoing evaluation of water rates, improved tracking of water loss, meter accuracy and replacement planning, and consideration of future rate adjustments, particularly from high volume users to ensure the long-term financial sustainability of the city's water system. This item is for review and discussion only. And I did prepare just an overview on the agenda cover page for you all to review. I think it's just great information for us to use as we workshop these rates. Do you have any questions about the study itself?
Councilmember Portillo,
No, ma'am.
Councilmember Martinez, Councilmember Stevens.
Thanks, Mayor. So I get the studies, what I'm trying to work my way through, having looked at that first. There was some budget discussion and I go to
15, 16.
page 15, that's it, yeah. So page 15 is the one that talks about, we've had surpluses up until 24-25, and then it shows the actuals through July 2025, and it's not closed. And my struggle is, since we don't know the numbers, I know Victoria's working on them, it's hard to make a judgment about what the impact of the water rates could or should be, without knowing where we really are on our performance in 24-25, and you know, because based on the middle of the 24th fiscal year, at the end of July, we were significantly under, almost $40,000. So that's my put. I'm a supporter of wanting to do the rate study, but I don't know how we make any decisions until we get data. That's my whole rate study. Without data, it's hard to make decisions. Because I don't want to go out to constituents and say, hey, we need to increase water rates or whatever because we're short. Well, that's my point.
How are those audits coming along?
They're coming along. I am working from one fund. The smaller funds, I'm trying to get those out of the way. There are quite a few adjustments that I need to make and a lot of transfers from one account to the other. I have not reached the enterprise funds because those are going to take quite a bit more time. But I think we're still on task to meet the deadline. I'm hoping of June. Yeah, June. And I am hoping, because the more that I work with it, the better I am at understanding what Mayor may not have put in place. So they're going a little bit faster as I progress. I'm still holding to that June deadline just in case something unexpected shows up. But I am working on that. That and then the other things that there's other operational issues that are popping up. And a lot of reporting requirements that we're becoming aware of, which you'll see I'll probably step out after the workshop because I have 2 reporting requirements that I'm working on right now that are due this month that I want to get out. We're getting there. And if I may add, I really appreciate Mr. Stevens' comment regarding waiting till we have additional data. I have been visiting with the directors, with Mike and Blake again this afternoon, with Randy, So that we're looking at the cost and actuals, reality, scenarios and going over everything. I did also look into the website with FEMA to look at the cost, the average cost for equipment rentals. Another area, the more that I'm working with it, I have a lot of questions. So we were also looking at the deposits for customers. So I conducted a little bit of a study to see where we actually stand. And I feel that the deposits are a bit low, reason being, we have so many post accounts with unpaid balances. And so if we're looking at combining deposits, then it's going to be, if it's a $200 deposit, are we applying it towards the gas, towards the water, towards, there are just so many unknowns. So I've been gathering all of the data and you have part of it in that packet that you have. With part of the research that I've been looking at. And the more that I thought about it, and with the new city manager coming on board January 20th, I honestly believe that it would be in our best interest to sit and visit with him and share our data. Because he's coming from a city that's larger than Alpine and another one that's smaller. And maybe we can get that happy medium and see if he has any information to share that we may use as a guide. Because I also logged into TML on certain rates that are considerably higher than our rates. I mean, considerably higher. That there's just too broad of a span between what we have in place and the research that I'm conducting. So I'm really hoping that he'll be able to come with his outlook on what he has at the other cities and look at our data and then come up with something that would meet our needs.
So in regard to customer rates and talking to our constituents about if we had to raise rates, could we hold off for 5 months or is that too long? Until we have that data that comes in June.
It would probably
The
be
audit.
best because if we try to budget and come up with a rate this month. And then to find that it's not gonna meet our needs or it's too high. Right now, our customers are having to face many adjustments. Either with the utility billing, with the adjustments with our services, with everything that I don't wanna compound that and have more of this, okay, wait a minute, this is what we adopted, but we feel that this would be better. I just really feel it would be best if we did share all of our data with the new city manager, hold another. This is where we stand with the top and get his input on that.
So could we wait until we have the auditing and talk to him until June? Or would that put that enterprise fund too much of a deficit if we are indeed running a deficit?
What I can go ahead and do is put aside all the other accounts and just focus on the one. That could be my main focus, to focus on the water enterprise fund, and I can at least give you some more data on that. And that will take a little bit of time because there's a lot of, oh yes, probably even February.
Okay, so maybe we will have another look at this in February.
And that would give us time to visit with the city manager, go over our data, look at where we stand financially within the water enterprise fund. And we're making a decision that we can at least support any increases or decreases that we're looking at. I did visit with once again with Mike and Blake today regarding where Mr. Ruckus had recommended like the cost and so we are looking and prepared because Blake did say that it was doable. Where some of these are actually going to be at cost. And of course, adding that impact fee where we may have an influx of rate increases or anything like that between the time that we are researching it and we're going to build a customer. But I do believe that he has a really good plan in place that we can utilize.
And this is Councilmember Lucas.
That was one of the things that he had requested. But Blake would be the one that would be providing all of that, because he would know what materials, how much digging, the footage and everything, so he just really felt that that was something that is doable. So I know that in regards to the at cost, that area, I think we've got covered.
When do you think you'll have the first quarter close, so we would have some actuals for a quarter, or is this start this year?
December. Okay, so we're closing out this. I can go ahead and provide something to you that we have as what, in regards to what we have received with revenues and expenditures, the actuals.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about a little bit ahead, because you're working your tail on out trying to figure out where we've been in the past. But if you're,
That's the other thing that
but if you're comfortable that you've got actuals for this fiscal year,
yes.
we got 3 months for them.
Mhm.
You know, I just want to give you a sense about where we're at against the budget. That goes a long way towards helping us think about where we are from a budget versus actual expenses. It gives
Yes,
us a
that,
sense.
that definitely is doable, since we just post out, or we're closing out the month of December. Okay, so that is the end of our first quarter.
Yeah.
So we definitely can provide that, that'd be.
Maybe at the next meeting, you think, by January 20th?
Yes, sir.
Or at least the first meeting in February?
Yeah, January 20th would be fine, because we would have most of our data already posted. If
Great.
you're looking at your cash receipts, your accounts payable, it might just have a few that we have not received to close out, but that's definitely doable.
Okay.
That's a lot.
I do have a question. Okay. I noticed that we have, city has two loans, one in 2005, one in 2011. First question is, why they get these loans, that we're short money, or the second is how we're doing with that, are we on time?
Yes, as far as our debt obligations, the research that I have conducted, they were for projects. The wastewater treatment was one. And another one, I believe, was tied into the gas, but I have not found a document as to the detail on that project. Do you by chance know?
Which project?
I'd have to probably get back to you on that, because the most that I found was that it was for gas department. As far as the payments being made on time, they're definitely on time. That is something that we submitted even in advance, just to make sure that we are meeting our debt obligation.
Because we've never requested to take out any kind of loans for our projects. We've used everything.
Back in 2005, 2011, several years back.
We didn't come on board until 2012.
Yeah, so these were water.
Okay, so then probably, well, one is definitely water, but there is something that's tied in as gas, but I can find that out for you.
Yeah.
Because I know that was one that I was researching, was the debt obligation. So that is something that I definitely, and it was just tied as gas.
You know, when I came on council, that was in the neighborhood of almost $6.5 million. These are finally working their way down. They were 30-year notes. So we're down to the minimum run, and they're just paying them out right on time.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we're okay with our debt obligations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything else regarding the water study? All right, thank you. So at the next meeting, January 20th, you'll have our data
Yeah,
for us.
actuals, yes, ma'am.
Okie dokie. All right, and the other part of the workshop is updates to 2025-2026 utilities fee schedule and utility rates. City manager.
All right, so as you know, the workshop was just to discuss updates to the rates. As the council has expressed, you want some more information, we'll work on getting that information to you. And additionally, as the director of finance recommended an amendment to complete agreements, I think that Mr. Arredondo would provide a good viewpoint as to utility rates, being that he worked in a large city such as Del Rio and in a city that's smaller than Alpine. I think that he would have some valuable insight on how to move forward with setting the utility rates. So, you know, the council did begin discussing this back in November. We held a workshop on November 18th after that initial discussion on board. And at that time, we scheduled this workshop. But being that he's so close to coming on board, we definitely do recommend to kind of get his insight to move forward. And I think we can just schedule something in the future. There really shouldn't be an issue as far as putting it off. This is one that we do every year annually, and that's why it was brought up initially. Last year, there was minimal adjustments made, but I think it's completely fine to continue operating on the same schedule until we can get something worked out.
Councilmember Stevens?
So one of the good things about this, we finally are combining deposits for all utilities. Hooray.
Yeah.
Which I think is terrific. In my mind, that's exactly the right thing to go do. The only question I have is I think about not-for-profits. Where would they fall in this list? Because they're not residential, that's not commercial. Do we give any deposit breaks for not-for-profit businesses?
We do not, and you know, to be honest, this discussion kind of leads to a larger issue that we've been experiencing for many years, which would be the utilities ordinance. The former city manager had plans, and they were good plans, you know, a lot of things that she wanted to implement were really good ideas, but it really just didn't come to fruition with all the utilities directors we've gone through. We've attempted to update the ordinance 1 to 2 times. We haven't really been fortunate enough to get it completed, so I'm looking forward to the new city manager being on board. We have a utilities director, we can work on that. That being said, to answer your question, no, we don't have any current discounts for not-for-profits or not-for-profit organizations. However, it's something we can implement. The previous city manager had many customer service ideas from Austin, Texas. She said, look there, when I asked her before she left, she said, look there, that's where I was gonna get everything off of, but there was never a formal draft completed. Additionally, you know, to be honest, the charter does say that the council will set the fees by ordinance, which leads to the discussion we'll have later on this evening. I do believe that that should be amended because for every other fee, it's set by resolution and it's costly to update them by ordinance. That's the whole reason we decided to remove it from ordinance to resolutions. So I do think that'll be a good thing to the voters to have them approve that they can be done by resolution, just to codify that and move forward. Otherwise, we're really gonna have to look at that as well being, you know, something to consider as far as how we're gonna set this. But it would be very costly to set them by ordinance, especially if they're codified in the ordinances, it'd be tables, it'd be a lot more expensive. So that's kind of the background on that.
My only concern, Gino, was not so much for what is get paid per gallon or whatever. To me, that's whatever the rate is, I just think about deposits.
Yes, and we don't have any waivers or anything for nonprofit organizations.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And if I may add to that, on the exhibit that has been provided, you're going to see several charts. And so that was some of the research that I was conducting, in regards to the amount of the deposit that we are setting. And the deposit, of course, it is more of a flow through. We have a customer turning in a deposit, and they leave and pay their bill, then we go ahead and refund them. But I was looking at the outstanding amounts that we have per year. And I know that it's cumulative, but we're looking at over 400,000 of, in accounts that have not been paid. And so, one of the things that I did not research, but I will, is to see if there are any nonprofits that I missed on that. Because that is something that we're not actually charging them a fee. We're just holding a deposit should they leave without paying the utility. And so, I can try and see if I can get a little bit more of a breakdown to see how much of this is from nonprofits, if it's even possible.
Yeah, I'm just asking, is it possible?
And so, you know, to just compound on that discussion about the deposits, you know, they used to be, I believe, 100 per utility.
Yeah.
And we experienced issues with the collections, which is why they're raised to 200 each in the beginning. Okay. So, you know, part of the previous conversations have been, you know, will customers complain, that's really expensive to set up those services, you know, $400, $200 deposit each. It's definitely something to consider. You know, I can see how that would create a hardship on them, but at the same time, you know, we are having some issues with closed accounts not recuperating those costs, so.
So do you know, for most of the closed accounts, does the deposit cover the balance that they left remaining?
No, I mean, some of them do, but not. For the unpaid balance to be over 400,000. And the majority of that, if you look at the breakdown, it's with your water department.
So if we have 2,400 accounts. That's ballpark. And it's $200 per deposit, that's 480,000. So the good news is we're covering that, but what I think you're saying is set that aside. We have unpaid balances of how much? Is that 393?
As of. As of September 30th, 2025, 393,997
People have not paid.
unpaid.
There's some left. They just walked it in the bill.
I'm sort of blessed at and of course, not knowing every customer.
Well,
Some of them are actually unpaid balances by customers that may have moved from one location to another and are still residing in Alpine. Those had minimal balances. Some of them did have like 3 or 4. A good portion of them, I do not recognize that it was supposed to help. So they may have left Alpine, or set up, a new residence or Airbnb or business under a different name. It could be any different type of scenario, but I did see that there was current customers that they've had for years not there.
so the city doesn't have any repercussions for people that don't pay, like send them to a collection agency or anything?
That's something that we definitely need to look at.
That's what we did when we were the gas corporation. You made that list, they went after you.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement, we really do need to,
That's a lot of money.
Potential amount.
yeah.
And when we came on board in 2012, I had actually started coming to council meetings to see how, they wiped out almost $383,000 that one year of just what you just said. To clear the books. And I'm like, how can we just give that away?
No, we can't.
And I'm in agreement, if we do not have something in place, we definitely need to establish it. And if we do, then we need to enforce it. Because if it hasn't been, that's a lot of money.
I believe we did have it at one point, and I'm not sure if we just, dropped the ball and stopped actually initiating the process, but I could check. I believe it was with Purdue, Brandon, Gilbert College and Mott's, the same people who do our delinquent tax items. So we can definitely look into that, and if not, we can certainly engage with them and those types of firms to see how we can get it set up.
Sounds good.
That's 17% of Mike's budget.
Yeah.
17%.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Something weird
Crazy.
happened to my account after the fire. I canceled the gas account. And when I asked for the deposit, it took months and months and months, and then they said, oh, somebody already reimbursed the deposit. I said, who took it? And then they didn't know, but somebody already got the deposit for the gas, and I didn't want to go through that. I was so much stressed out. I said, I didn't get a reimbursement on the gas. This is somebody.
Was it in your name?
Yes, when
Then
I,
it shouldn't have been able to go to anybody else.
when I took over, I went to the gas company. And changed under my name and
Mhm.
they gave the lady who was under her name, her deposit, so I put it in my name, I believe the deposit. We have to go together to the gas company.
They
And,
may have sent it to the wrong person then.
Well, I mean, it might have been applied to the account. We can look into it if you'd like.
it's okay, it was really weird, that somebody got it and I never knew about it, and I really didn't care, I was so stressed out, and now we're talking about those little amounts of money,
That's all.
it's
And how long ago was it?
a year and a half. A year and a half.
A year and a half?
But regardless, that does need to be looked into.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that should have. happened.
that happened to them, that's not right. So who took that money? And. Now that I see all those legal
I'll look
matters.
into that. I'll look into it. I'll look at, because currently I was looking at what we have to sell on, uncollected. Account, but I'll look at the deposit cost as well.
It was for your salon, right? The previous one?
It was the one. And then I have another question right here. So we have so many increase on residentials and commercials. So how we're doing in water amount, are we okay? Providing water and all this, even now that getting more apartments, Do we need another well, or do they have enough pressure?
I mean, we
Is that-
certainly are experiencing some issues. The engineers are helping, with the Skyway development and the pressure planes. So they are currently making recommendations to make sure that we can adequately supply certain areas of town. To my knowledge, I mean, we're not in a critical state. They haven't never mentioned that, so I think we're okay at the moment.
If I'm remembering correctly, they suggested another well, but that wasn't right now.
Yes.
It was our future planning that we should look into.
Yeah, I'm very pleased. I have a good pressure in my house.
I don't. When we went on vacation, my lips. Do that water pressure, like, it's the sounded, but yeah. It's okay. I'm on the south end.
Okay, so to recap, we're going to readdress what our rates are based on this rate study after we have more data. So we're gonna come back and look at it. March, is that what was suggested, or are we waiting for the audit to be finished?
I want to say that we could probably, March would be a good time to look at it.
Okay,
That'll give me a time to go ahead and focus directly on the enterprise fund for the water department.
okay,
And also give us a chance to visit with our city manager to see what he recommends based on his experience and his other.
okay. And so do we want this as a workshop, or do we want it as a discussion in regular city council meeting?
I would say like having the discussion with him first and seeing, what kind of input he could provide. And then formulating a plan. Obviously, it'd be advantageous to get it done ahead of the budget so we can, forecast for better and more correctly. However, I think just having a conversation first, I think we can go from there, at least a discussion initially, maybe, and then a workshop. If y'all are-
Okay, so have it as a discussion item in
Mhm.
March,
I think that sounds good.
first meeting in March, second.
I'll add it as a tentative item, right?
Okay.
Good.
All right, so that deals with that, and as far as the actual rates, are we gonna do that at the same time, or do we want to set that, so do that in March as well? All right, was there anything else?
Nope, that would be it.
Okay, it was 4:25. All right, and with that, this workshop is adjourned. Thank you.